That's a bit funky, isn't it? That's a bit.
That intro was way too good for what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Welcome to the high point.
You're right. Anyway, how's it hanging at YouTube and all that shit? It's Peter here, Ginger Geek. Welcome back to the channel. I'm joined by YouTube royalty tonight. We've got a crack team ready to talk to you about comic books. Now, yeah, we've got a great team here. And unfortunately, you've all come on the show when we're going to be talking, I think, just about CAC, because there's not been a lot of joy. There's not been a lot of joy this week, I don't think. Anyway, we'll start at the top. We've got Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse. How are you doing, Phil?
Oh, good. I do feel a bit bad, though. Because since you start asking people on your show, the comics have been pretty poor. I feel like we are bringing it with us.
Yeah.
Do you remember that first show, Peter? It was
a dream. It was a
nice
dream.
Positive start, and it just went.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'll take it. I can take a hint. It's fine. It's fine.
So yeah, always nice to see you, Phil. Thank you very much for joining. Andy, how are you, sir?
Do you know it's been a week. It's definitely been a week, and I told you the last time that for every bad comic I read, I was going to invoice you. You owe me an absolute fortune after this week, Peter.
Oh God, yeah, we're gonna get to it in a bit because it's not been good. And we're joined by Charlie. Always a pleasure to have you, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm the same as Andy. This is the first time on the show, and I've just literally billed you for £700. Ruined my week. These comics are absolute tish, but we're getting to that. But it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. I always love being underneath you.
I always love being on top of you. I always love being on top of you, Charlie. You wouldn't survive. Trust us. Christ.
Is that a challenge?
So yeah, we're going to get into it, guys. We've got an interesting array of comics to talk. There is a few books that I've read which are all right, but it's few and far between. Let's quickly jump to the comments and see who we've got. We've got good old StreamYard. Thank you for joining. We've got Jack. Always a pleasure, my friend. Shut him down. Always a pleasure, my friend. We've got Deadman. Thank you for joining. Andy is in the chat as well. Thank you very much. And we've got my pal Efren, Passpoint Comics. Thank you for joining, Efren. Efren's done a kind of a book end to this show, I suppose you would say, at the start of the week where he's talked about comics that he's looking forward to reading. So please do go and check that out. John, did you send me something, John? Have you sent? That sounds wrong, doesn't it? Have you sent me?
Do tell.
Some used underwear. No. Have you sent me a comic book? Because I've unboxed a comic today that I don't remember buying. It's a commissioned, like a art cover, and I think it may be by you. So let us know in the comments if it's from you, please. And we've got well by lunchtime. Nice to see you, my friend. Thank you very much for joining. Okay, guys.
Let's take all the credit for sending Peter a gift.
Yeah. Well, I hope he does, but because either that, or I've completely forgotten buying something, like completely no recollection of it.
You don't buy much, though, do you? Yeah. You don't buy much, do you?
No, not a lot, mate. Not a lot. Yeah. Okay, before we get on to the comics, we'll start with a bit of positivity about what's happening on the various channels and things coming up. Yeah, Jackson, someone do a wellness check on Fuzzy. He's not here by the looks of it. Yeah, Fuzzy, are you out there? Fuzzy, can you hear me? What's that off again?
Wait a minute. Wait, hold the bus here. That was beautiful.
What was that off?
That's
Papa, can you hear me? Oh, Jesus. Okay, so things that are coming up on various channels. Wanted to just mention this. We did a review of Indiana Jones over on Reviews with Rich's channel earlier in the week. That was interesting. You guys seen Indiana Jones yet? The latest movie?
No,
I haven't. No.
It's all right. It's all right. If you're a big Indiana Jones fan, I came away a little bit disappointed. So yeah. Ben's doing this live next week, I think on Tuesday night. Tuesday during the day. I think he starts at 6 o'clock. This is his top 50 cosplays, so that'll be fun. So please do check that out. After that, the same night,
Ooh.
GP Venom is doing Crimson Cage review. Can't wait for that. Big fan of that. That's a proper comic.
Yeah,
That's a good comic. You guys all read that one?
Definitely.
Yes.
Oh, it's great.
Superb.
Yeah, it's superb. I love that one. And also, I mean, I know you guys talked about it a lot on the show, but Do a Powerbomb. I'm not a wrestler, but I've loved that and Do a Powerbomb. It really kind of got us into it.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Good stuff.
It's awesome.
As ever, shout out to the YouTube UK community. This week, Metropolis have just wrapped up their season, but go and check out the last episode. It was very cool. Nerd Herd on a Wednesday. They've just reviewed Volume 4 of Once and Future. What you got coming up this next week, Phil?
Farmhand, Volume 1.
I've never heard of that one.
It's the guy, is it Rob Gilroy?
The Chew, didn't he?
The Chew, yeah. So he was the artist. He's now the artist and the writer on this.
Yeah.
Hopefully good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. John, sent you a book you bought on eBay from me yesterday. That went in the post today.
So that's not it.
That's not it then, John. This was someone's drawn a sketch cover of The Shadow.
I sent you that, Pete. That was me. You're welcome.
Liar. I know it's not you, Phil, because it's good. Yes. You walked into that one.
Anyway, for Monday, Phil's not there.
Thursday nights, as ever, we've got the Killer Comic Show with some of the gentlemen on screen. Last show was brilliant with the rundown of Lobo. I don't know a lot about Lobo, so I really enjoyed that. What have you got coming up next week, guys?
We've got Gabriel Delotto, Tom's pick this week. So it's going to be interesting because, like, looking over the history of him, he's got some fantastic stuff. So that's going to be good. And Tom's put some amazing slides together as well. So that'd be a good show. Yeah,
when I got back into collecting a few years back, I got. Do you remember Scott's Collectibles? You guys had any Scott's Collectibles? Yeah. They did some kind of portfolios of Delotto's.
Yeah.
And I picked up a few of them. They're stunning. Sold them on since, unfortunately. Saturday night, we've got Grey Man's Cover Slingers show, which is always entertaining, so check that one out. Just want to mention this. We did this show last night, myself and Ben, the Attention Seeking Geek. If you're into action figures, please do go and check it out. Saturday night, we've got our usual Saturday Night Live hangout, where we'll cover all the geeky news and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to be talking about who's the greatest superhero of all time. So who the panel think is the best, the GOAT, as it were. And then Monday night, hopefully I'll be joined by these gentlemen on the screen where we're going to be doing our Geeky Art Attack. And we're going to be doing Star Wars themed. So James T. Keegan and Efren are getting extremely excited about this, coming up with some ideas for it. So looking forward to that. So that should be entertaining. And then this is a new idea for a show we've got coming up where basically we're going to just go live without any slides or anything like that and let the community ask anything they want. And suggest topics. So that'll hopefully be going live in the next few weeks. And we must, I know I've been talking about for ages, guys, we must get back and organise what you call it, hot shot kind of challenge thing. So I need to get my finger out and get that sorted. And see if we can kill anybody live on screen. Okay, this week's comics. Oh dear. Oh shit. I can't muster the strength to talk about this one.
Sorry, I've got to go. I've literally got to go. Sorry, I didn't know it was this type of show. Sorry, mate. Right.
Phil, you're up. Phil.
Please no.
So this is the launch of DC's new crossover, Night Terrors. This is the first issue. We're going to talk about the other issues that have been out, but this is kind of the starting point, I guess you would say. Phil, come to you first. What were your thoughts on this? I'll give you a little rundown about what it's actually about.
Can you give me the rundown? Because I don't know what this is about. It was terrible. I have a bit of a problem with DC because for the last 2 or 3 years, they haven't really known what they're at. They've tried different directions for their whole universe. You know, once upon a time, Scott Snyder was the guy. Then they had what was that called? Like Future State. Then had an Infinite Frontier. Then have Dawn of DC. So Dawn of DC starts. Then they pause it for 2 months. This is pausing all of their big books for this crap. And
is it going to go on for 2 months? Is it
2 months? So all the normal titles have been parked for 2 months, and I think it's to their detriment because I haven't spoken to the guy from my shop this week at all. But he does a YouTube video, and he said that the pre-orders for this, like the main series, are really, really low. But
Mhm.
also, if you're, say you have Batman, for example, he's not automatically putting Night Terror's Batman in your box.
Right.
So you've got 2 months off. So there's like 2 months where it's like it's going to hit his business, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's other comic shops across the country. Or in the
Well, Phil, you say
exception.
that. You say that. I've changed over from Galactic Comics. I now do my subs with Slab Crusaders, and I'm Batman all the way through. I love Batman, and he said to me the same thing as that. He said the pre-orders on the whole Night Terrors, because he's coming out like it's this week there was 5 comics. I think next week there's 5 comics. James was saying that the pre-orders for this are non-existent. Like if you're a Batman lover, you want to stick to your Batman. Like I read my Batman consistently every single time it comes out.
Yeah.
But reading this is just, if this is going to be going for the next 2 months, like it's kind of, I hate the way they do that, because we will get onto it, but this story ties into the continuity of story of Batman and everything.
Yeah.
So if you're not reading it and you're not picking up, then the crossover is going to be all over the place, like DC continually seem to do.
I mean, and we're going to get to the kind of the nitty gritty of the issues in a minute. But for me, having read a fair few of them, the absolute only reason I would pick up any of these is that some of them, not that one, but some of them have got stunning cover work. And look, it's a bit like Deceased. I mean, that was a superb series, but the covers are beautiful, you know. But yeah. So Phil, tell me what the story's actually about.
So there's some guy who we don't know yet, and he's
Dr.
looking
Destiny.
for the Dr. Destiny. He's looking
where he
for
dies.
the Nightmare Stone or something or whatever. Dead Man. I like Dead Man. I don't know a huge lot about him, but he's in it, and I quite like him.
He's in the chat.
Yeah,
He's in the chat, yeah.
I just quite like the way he's involved in it, but like Batman can't hear him, for example. For some reason, he can't communicate with them at the minute, so he goes into Batman's body and tells him what's up, type of thing. But again, my issue is like I'm not a big fan of like Justice League Dark, like all the kind of magic, the dark magic. I'm not interested. So I like Satana. Is it Satana? Yeah. I think she's cool and all, but on small doses. And Detective Chimp makes an appearance in this as well. And the whole Justice League Dark thing, I think that's just not my bag. So like I say, they're at this point where like, is it like they can now penetrate your dreams and your nightmares into real life or something or whatever? I don't know. Sorry for using the word penetrate. I don't know what part.
No, I liked it.
Yeah.
It was nice.
You say it again
Slowly.
slowly.
I'll charge you. But no, it's just. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, so you bang on, mate. So basically, this new character, who's the guy at the end there holding Batman by the throat, Insomnia, I think he's called, wants to find something called the Nightmare Stone. So he kills an old villain called Dr. Destiny. And the basic point is every superhero gets put to sleep because one of them has got the Nightmare Stone hidden in the dreams or something. So they're all being kind of challenged in the dreams to try and find this stone. Just before we come to you, Andy, to tell me what you thought of this issue, Dead Man, that's a superb point. Why are they having a Halloween style story in the summer? It makes no friggin' sense. You're absolutely right, mate. Andy, did you love this? Did you really enjoy yourself reading it?
It feels like DC gave the writers for Night Terrors a couple of weeks off, effectively. That's what it feels like. The premise, if you sort of take a step back and ignore the story and the really horrific backstory and storytelling overall, it's a really cool premise. I thought, invade their dreams and stuff like that, and their dreams become reality, but reality can't invade your dreams. Blah blah blah. Great, fantastic. I'm all in for this. And then I started reading it, and I think I discovered my Nightmare Stone. It was this issue. I didn't know what was happening. My eyes couldn't believe what was going on, but I felt enticed to keep reading because I thought at some point this is going to make sense. And the only bit that made sense was that probably when the book had finished, and it gave you a list of about 75 comics that you have to read as part of this new whole overall arc. And I just knew there and then that this wasn't for me. And don't get me started on the art.
I've got a page later on, a slide later on, to talk about the frankly stunning artwork in this. Yeah. Charlie, what about yourself?
It's called Night Terror's First Blood, and I'm still internally bleeding from reading this.
Yeah.
My eyes.
the whole premise of it is quite good. Like when Deceased dropped, you were kind of like, this is good. Like there's a power, like Darkseid sending like into Cyborg's head, everything's going to kick off. It seems good. This, obviously, we're first greeted with John Dees, who's like laying there, and then obviously we kind of get into him, and it's Dr. Whatever his name is.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. I really wanted good things to happen from this. I really wanted to enjoy this, but it just didn't. It was just all over the place. And again, it just feels like DC are just kind of filling the void. They're like, as Andy said, they've given the writers a week off and gone, right, yeah, we'll get some students in. They can just crack on with a couple of crayons and some rough sketches and just do what they want.
This was Joshua Williamson, wasn't it? That was
Yeah.
writing duties on this. And you mentioned there, Phil, about Zatanna coming in. He even said in the story, "Oh, we know that this isn't magic, but sure, we'll just call it in anyway."
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
was as if they were squeezing as many characters in as they possibly could. Crazy.
I think
And the thing about it with Joshua Williamson, he's done some good stuff. Do you honestly think these writers think, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Because the whole premise of this looks great, but then you just look at it and you think, no.
So I think you're absolutely right. I think the premise sounded brilliant. The like I say, the covers got us excited for this when you see the covers and whatnot. And then started reading it, and the bit I can't get my head around, it's a bit like some of the Marvel stuff at the moment. These are DC's premier characters.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get bigger than this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, the story, fair enough, but the artwork, how does somebody sign off on this going out as their big crossover event, summer event? Do you know what I mean? It's just
like some of it is shoddy, like really bad.
To be fair,
he ain't seen nothing.
Look at Superman's face in the previous slide. Like, that's not even a suit. Like, that's
cheap
how horrible that looks.
That's why I put that out. It looks like he's a box. It looks like he's gone. You know, he should be in a Rocky movie.
That's what I thought. It's what the only kind of hope I can give this book overall is the fact that generally tie-ins to like the main run are usually pretty pish. So the main run I think starts next week, maybe the week after. Like the Night Terrors #1. Maybe that will improve. But
I hope there's no second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth blood. Because if there is, I'm out.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. As a prelude, as the first book out of this whole big event, this should be the one to grab people, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess my concern is there's what have we got? 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 or 6 of these Night Terror books. I think most of who have read. There's 2 which I think are maybe passable. The rest are absolute shite. So these 3, did anybody manage to read any of these ones?
We read all of them.
I read Batman.
I think that Batman is one of the worst written books I've read in terms of dialogue and story. It was just.
Do you know what I think is that it's telling the story of Batman over again.
Yeah.
Over again. Like, how many times do we need to know about Batman? If you're just picking up comics now and reading it, you clearly know about Batman.
Yeah.
Like, old school readers of comics from years past know about Batman. We don't need to go back down this alley of him having a nightmare. Everyone knows it's a constant nightmare of Batman when he's in Crime Alley and he knows Joe Chill killed his parents. We don't need to see it time and time again. It's literally like they have nothing else left to write about.
Yeah.
Oh, what we'll throw Batman's old school story in with Night Terrors and just reincarnate it. That's what they're doing.
But even the dialogue just felt off to me. It was weird. It really felt very jarring when I was reading. Did you feel like that, Andy? Or did you feel that it was quite weird?
Yeah, it was like an inner monologue almost of dialogue where I found myself having to go back and reread a lot of it, you know, because I was like, wait, did I miss something in between these pages? But I'm with Charlie on this one. Like, as soon as I saw the front cover for this, I was like, surely we're not going to we're not going to be in that alley again. We're not going to see what happened to his parents. Surely the story's not going to be about this, because that would be too obvious. That is Batman's recurring nightmare. We're not going to see it again on 22 pages. But yeah, we did.
The only thing too about that was the bat coming out of Batman's mouth.
Yeah, that looked pretty. I have to say that looked pretty cool, mind. I quite liked that. That was
quite interesting, but that was about it.
Yeah, but it made
why
no sense.
Why did it have a gun?
And even on the main page, he's got a gun coming out of his head. Is that the gun that Joe? Do you know what I think it is? I think that's the gun that at the end Joe Chill's holding, and he's like, "I'm not controlling this. I'm not doing it."
Yeah. Shit. Just shit. The other two, Black Adam and Ravager, probably my own fault because I don't read Ravager, but I was completely lost off with what the hell was going on. I didn't know who any of the characters were. It was okay, Ravager, as best I could do. Black Adam, I can barely even remember what happened in it, to be perfectly frank.
I thought
Any
Black
of you
Adam had
guys?
about 5 words in it.
Yeah.
Literally, it had about 5 words in it, and that was about it.
Yeah.
Ravager for me seemed like, I don't know about how you guys feel, but this whole premise of this seems like Freddy Krueger Dreamcatchers. It's very much like the Puppet Master when they're coming to take over the dream and stuff.
I agree. I agree, Charlie, and that's kind of how I read the series. That I thought, and we're going to get on to the only two that really hit it for us in a minute. I thought this was going to be quite a horror-esque series and would say scare. None of this in any of these three issues was scary in any way. Do you know what I mean? It was, like you say, Batman's parents again. Black Adam, can't even remember. I just remember, shit. Ravager, it was kind of like dodgy-looking zombie things and a little girl. It wasn't scary.
At one point in that, I thought she was going to kiss herself.
Yeah.
Because there's a picture of her where she's talking. She's like, "Oh my God, you're me." And the way that they positioned the characters, and it looked like she was going in to kiss herself. And I was like, wow, this is really.
Yeah. Werewolf by Night. Sorry, mate. You're right. Spoilers.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Jackson, massive Batman fan. That's why passing this issue. You could tell by the cover it was going to tell his story again, and it didn't even tell it well, mate. To be honest.
No,
Hungry House. What's up, everyone? Oh, nice to see you, bud. Thanks very much for joining Toys on Fire. Thank you. Tremendous site if you want to go and check out 1/6 scale action figures on Facebook. Toys on Fire. You get a good deal and superb postage. Okay, right. Moving on to
that was a smooth plug, Pete. I've got to say that.
It really was.
Very good.
You're going to have to put up advertising on this now.
That was so smooth.
Oh, he's here. Fuzzy were about to send out, welfare call, mate. We're worried about you.
We were worried.
Disappointing week of comics. Yeah, but we've just been saying this DC story didn't do it for me. Couple of nice Poison Ivy covers, but that's it. Next week, much more. Fuzzy, we're absolutely on the same page, mate. So now, Night Terror's Poison Ivy. I know Charlie's a big Poison Ivy fan. I've not read a lot apart from Poison Ivy Destroys the DC Universe. Out of all of the books, this one and the Joker are probably the ones that interested us a little bit more than the others. I honestly felt Poison Ivy was a more creepy issue. I liked the kind of the bug-eyed things chasing her and stuff. Did any of you guys read Poison Ivy?
Yes, I did. I was just bored. It was boring. You're going to expect Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn to maybe potentially produce the most horrific story that they can. And I just thought this was all style over substance, to be honest with you. I think the covers and the artwork were good. It was a real setup to be a really good premise again, but they just missed the mark with it. It was a swing and a miss again for me.
Yeah. Anybody else read this one?
Yeah.
I stopped after First Blood. I read that first, and I had no appetite.
You give it the will.
I moved on to some Marvel stuff, and then that didn't cheer me up either, so I just didn't go back to Night Terrors. But we'll get to the Marvel stuff soon.
Charlie,
I liked Poison Ivy. It tried to be something that it wasn't. It tried to be like WandaVision. The whole story was telling something, and it wasn't it. And it was exactly like that. It was DC's version of WandaVision. It could have been so much better. It could have been so much better. And for me, it fell flat where Harley Quinn turns around and goes, "Oh, look, there's Batman and there's Catwoman.
Hidey ho, neighbor."
And I was like, come on. Like, seriously. And then you've got the Penguin, and then you've got a really, really weird looking Nightwing cleaning the car.
Yeah. I'm interested in your hand movements there, Charlie. What element of Nightwing were you representing there? Was that? There's some very provocative images of Nightwing, aren't there? In these little speedos. Yeah.
It was.
Is that G. Will Wilson as the writer in this Poison Ivy book?
Yeah. It's again, I think, for me, it was okay, but it certainly wasn't good. Now, Andy, I know you weren't a big fan of this, but I quite enjoyed the Joker book up to near the end. It started to drag a bit, but
Yeah.
Joker's nightmare is basically real life. You get this opening panel, which I love, where basically Batman trips over and just slides off a rooftop and drops to his death, which I thought was great. And I loved this 2-page spread, where basically Joker's nightmare is he's now working in Wayne Enterprises in an office. And there's this discussion with his supervisor about what their work is, what their actual job is. And it just goes back and forth, back and forth. And I did find that quite amusing. But that's about it. That's the positivity I can say for the book.
That's the thing. It was amusing, and I guess there was elements of all these books that were amusing, and I don't think that's the mark they were trying to hit. I think that the best panel was when Batman falls asleep and just slipped, but it's the way they caught that the artist done it, and it was like he was halfway over and just slipped down.
Yeah.
That was the highlight of all these DC books for me.
Yeah. Hi, Connie.
I liked the Batman one because it kind of the Batman falling, because I was kind of like, you see another side to Joker and he's like, oh, what am I actually going to do? Like, I don't actually know what to do now. Like my right hand man, basically the one I work with and the one I bounce off, he's gone. What am I going to do? I don't know about you. I wanted to smack Helen in the face. She was getting on my tits.
Even if you look at her, to be fair, she looks like she would be really annoying.
Yeah. You're waiting for that moment where he goes crazy. I mean, he does kill one of his bosses, doesn't he? He loses it and kills somebody, I think. But overall, guys, I think we can probably agree that the start of this event is pretty much dog cack, isn't it? It's not.
I can't wait for issue 2 for all these. Can't wait. Oh.
The artwork. Let's just touch on some of the artwork. This is, as I said, DC's big event with all of its big hitters in. Surely from a business perspective, if you're doing a big event kind of, hey, look at how good our company is, you put your good artists on it. I mean, this is
what I was seeing at Thought Bubble when I had my Thought Bubble goggles on.
I mean, can you just highlight what comics these are from?
Oh, I can't remember. I think my brain started to bleed.
I just wanted to give the viewers to avoid it, because this is
the first one.
Is it the first one?
First Blood, yeah.
I mean, Wonder Woman looks like she's had a massive stroke or something, doesn't she? She's kind of something happened there. Harley Quinn doesn't have a nose. And then I swear to God that the blue arm touching her face looks like Scooby-Doo's back leg. That's like it's like a paw.
Can I just say, if you're Jim Lee or you're the high up of DC, you look at this and you think, wow, we've fallen massively.
Yeah.
Look at the state of it.
Yeah. I mean, people are thinking this is some of the work.
This is what I was going to say, though. Like, I think I would do better than this. I'll do better than this on Monday night. You know?
Absolutely, Connie. Absolutely. These are in the premiere issue of the new series.
Okay, here's a question for you. What's worse, DC's QC or CGC?
I would say this. I think this is offensive.
100%. Harley Quinn's face looks like a split slab.
It looks like she smashed herself in the face with her Scooby-Doo paw.
Look, Superman's got some Newton rings. I'm telling you, it's like
it is worth
got an S on his
saying that
chest.
these are like really small parts on like small panels, but it still doesn't matter because the art throughout doesn't save it. If you give us fantastic art through the whole thing, we could almost let this slide, but you can't whenever the art overall is terrible.
I think you're right, Phil, because I was thinking about that when I was putting these on the slide, thinking, is this fair zooming them up? But then I thought, you know what? If when we've been reading the comic, we've noticed this, then absolutely it does. If it's in the background and it's just, but these were big enough to really jump out and get your attention, which I just think it's just not good enough, is it?
And if we were in thought with the story itself, we wouldn't even be looking at this. We'd be too busy wanting to get to the next page. Yeah. I was actually stopping, focusing on this stuff.
It'd be interesting to know how long it took for them to do this comic, to do this comic run, because I think we can all agree that it looks shoddy, doesn't it? Like, you wouldn't expect this from DC. I don't think you'd even get anything from this from Image or Boom. I really don't.
No, it's.
Like,
I mean, we've got.
I do think that the whole Night Terrors thing. If Joshua Williamson is the one taking the lead on this, that he's obviously has an idea to go somewhere. But I think DC themselves probably wanted all these tie-ins, and therefore they're all like, "Right, let's get everyone together and do what we can." Do you know what I mean? So, like, I think some of these things probably were rushed out just to have tie-ins more than anything.
Yeah, you're probably right, and we know, don't we? Anytime you've got a tie-in series, it's a load of, a lot of the time, a lot of the stuff is horrendous. Fuzzy, I think you're right, but I think Rob Liefeld's sitting just chortling away to himself.
Harley Quinn's holding one.
Yeah, that's someone from the Wild. Was it Wild? Which one was the Jim? Which one was the Jim Lee series that he started? Not Jim Lee, sorry, Rob Liefeld series, Youngblood. It's one of the Youngblood characters, isn't it? Yeah, awful, bloody awful. Let's. I mean, I saw this and I did have a bit of a laugh because I thought, you know what, that really does kind of. It's absolutely bang on.
It's spot on. After what we've just spoke about, that's spot on.
Yeah. Just cack. Okay, little bit of, hopefully a little bit of positivity. I don't know if any of you guys have read these. We're going to just quickly canter through. Please shout out if you've read any of these books in the comments as well. So Dark Horse Survival, this is issue 3. This is the one where this Russian aircraft has crashed in kind of rural America where they're all gun-toting kind of yee-haw type people.
Great cover.
And the vampire kind of creatures have basically attacked the humans who just happened to be at a gun rally kind of event. It's been all right. It's been all right. It feels, I don't know what you guys are like sometimes, but I read some of these mini series, particularly from some of the indie books, and it almost reads like, they're trying to sell this as a mini series somewhere in terms of Amazon or something like that, picking this up as a 4-part show, Yeah. Because I could absolutely see this as a show on Netflix or something like that for a couple of episodes, Did any of you guys read this one?
I've reading this, and I don't know about you, Pete, but for me, it kind of felt like 30 Days of Night. Like there was that 30 Days of Night, the Josh Hartnett kind of story about it.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it, and this cover's great. Like it kind of does tell about the main character, the story and stuff. It's what can I say? It's kind of like a adult version of this Twilight essence.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm not reading it, but see, like, I know a lot of people think vampire stuff's been done to death. Pardon the pun, but I like vampire books. Yeah. And can I just comment that guy in the front cover has a very good head of hair. That's fantastic hair.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, Charlie's not far behind, but you are a hair expert, Phil. So if you could update one hair as we go through,
guys, I'm still here. Guys, I'm still here.
Yeah, you're on the cover as well, Andy. I love you really, mate. Love you really.
Yeah, so Survival is a good one. I would probably recommend picking this up in a little trade paperback because it's bound to come out in, I think it's 6 issues or something.
I'm also not against if they do write stories for TV, as long as they're open about it.
Yeah.
I think as long as we kind of know it, it's no big deal. We know what happens. I'd rather than just say I'm writing this because I hope it gets picked up.
Oh, Fuzzy's on form. The vampire book you can sink your teeth into.
There we go.
Very good, Fuzzy. Very good. Now, King Kong: The Great War. I'm loving this. I love a monster story. I'm a bit of a King Kong Godzilla fan. This is basically a German ship has crashed on Monster Island. And it doesn't get much more complicated than basically Germans walking around getting killed by monsters. That's the premise of it. Nazis being killed by monsters. But there's some great scenes in this. And it's actually kept very much away from King Kong so far. It's more about the creatures that are living on the island. So again, an easy read, but a fun read. Any of you guys read that one?
I've read the first issue. I don't know if it's the first issue or I haven't read this one, but I did see there's a double page spread in it. And I think it's as they're approaching Kong Island. Is that issue number 1?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But I mean, it's the retelling of King Kong, but it's great.
Yeah. It's very cool. It is a good fun read.
Yeah.
Dawn of DC, Adventures of Superman. This is picking up Connor Kent, who's Superman's son in this reality. I've been really enjoying this series. I am a bit of a Superman fan. I don't know much about John Kent, but this has crossed over superbly with the DC Injustice universe.
Just see that. Like
Yeah.
the Injustice League, that was awesome. Like that was years and years ago, and then it crossed over with a computer game and stuff like that. So that ties into that. That's pretty.
Yeah, so basically the premise of this is going back a few issues, someone was going around killing every version of Superman in the multiverse, and it was Ultraman, I think. And somehow they've ended up in this universe. And now it's basically Connor Kent against his dad. But I'm enjoying it. I quite like this character, actually. I'm surprised a little bit by that. I wasn't expecting to quite like the character as much. But it's a decent read. It's a decent read. Fuzzy's just saying King Kong also has a few great covers. Yeah, the covers have been stunning for that one. Same as the there's a Godzilla book out at the moment as well, Fuzzy, which has got some stunning covers as well, mate. You guys, Andy, I know you're not a big Superman fan, are you? This is not the kind of book you would pick up.
Not in this lifetime, no.
How about if it did a Night Terrors crossover? Would you pick that one up? 'Cause I know you're
Coming next week.
Do you know, it's not even the Night Terrors or the Superman, it's actually the DC logo that if I see that now, I'm just completely put off. Like, somebody do me a decent DC story, please. Please.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
Yeah,
Charlie. So just before you tell a little bit about this, Charlie, I'll tell you where I'm at with it. I absolutely adore I Hate Fairyland. I got into it on the Nerd Herd's recommendation. I bought the 2 volumes of the first season. I've not read any of the relaunch because I kind of struggle with the art not being whatchamacallit? Scotty Young inside. But I have read this.
This is Scott Young.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this, Charlie.
So obviously, I Hate Fairyland tells the story of Gertrude, and she goes into Fairyland, and she's fighting forever, trying to get out. This story for me is, if you just want a simple read, you want to have a couple of beers, sit down, and just think about nothing else other than elongated nipples and swearing and a green-haired girl running around with a little bug that's a total rip-off of Jiminy Cricket, 100%. Right?
You've been to Glasgow.
This is the story, like this, and I'm so glad you've picked this because the middle panel, right? Without reading this story, and without, if any of you in the chat want to comment on what you think that is, because it could be a whole range of things. But it's just a great story, and obviously, like Scotty Young has done this. Like he writes it, he's done the art in it and stuff like that. And obviously, it's been handed over because I think it went on to the writers only thing, and he was doing that, and then it's come back and it's done this. These are the untold stories of I Hate Fairyland. So these are things that ain't covered in the first 7 or 8 issues of the rerun. It's just great. It's just such an easy read, and Gertrude is she reminds me of Angelica out of the Rugrats.
Yeah.
Because she cannot, it's just wicked, and she just don't give a shit. And some of the stuff she comes out with, like there's I Hate Fairyland, and then there's I F Fairyland. You can buy the variant covers and stuff. It's just great. I love it.
What's even more interesting is like before we went live, we were actually talking about Peter's baby bottle nipples.
Yes, that is.
Show us again, Pete. You had them out earlier. See that?
I mean, that's Scotty Young, isn't that? That's me in this.
Just that one panel of the nipple. It just reminds me of Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
And like,
I mean, I loved this book. I have to say, like I said, I've dropped off for a little while, picked this up, and I mean, the pigs, the Captain Planet ripoff. You know, when the 3 pigs, when our powers combine and they turn into the Captain Pig thing or whatever it is. It's just.
It's when they put their hooves in to like all the powers combine, and I think they think they're going to become something super, and they just become like a blob of pork.
Yeah. Funny that's what my wife calls me. Phil or Andy, did you guys read this?
Absolutely not.
no. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I enjoyed the first volume of I Hate Fairyland, but after that, I got bored of it. But this is something to be fair. I might try and read this tonight.
That's my new name. Nice. Oh, well, I hope you enjoy the book. Yeah, I thought it was great. Captain America 750. Now, Phil, you mentioned this earlier in the week. Did you get a chance to read this one?
Yeah, and to be honest, there was 3 stories, wasn't there? There's like one of those. I can't remember the second 2 or the second and the third. I remember the first one, which I enjoyed, but I was left thinking, like, when did Misty Knight and Sam Wilson get together? It's just, I suppose you have to be on Captain America continuously to be up to date, whatever. But I like the idea of that story where he's obviously has this kind of, it's bearing down on him that he's going to have to hold the have the shield again, become Captain America. He doesn't want to, whatever else, because he feels like you'll let the badge or the sign down or whatever. And
yeah,
I liked it and all, but again, I just couldn't help but think, like, when did Misty Knight and Sam Wilson get together?
Yeah.
Is that always been a thing? You tell me. You're.
I think they've been together for a little while. But I don't read the regular Captain America book. You're right. It was 3 or 4 stories, and they were okay, but nothing great. I think what I found really weird is, pardon me, the central story was about the funeral for the Destroyer, who's an old character, who's got kind of a skull face mask and stuff like that. And it was this touching kind of funeral scene where they were all kind of talking and stuff like that. And Captain America says a few words, and it's all very nice and somber. Blah, blah. And then, is it Sharon Carter, I think, gets up to say a few words, and she just decides that that's the appropriate time to rip her clothes off, and ta-da, look, I'm the new Destroyer, and her mask comes up, and it's like, yay. It just felt weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like she was also one of the main speakers at this funeral, despite her opening line saying, I've only known him for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, surely, like, you move on, give someone else the floor here, family, friends, whatever.
Yeah.
You know him for 2 weeks.
Wasn't, sadly, again, not a great book. Andy or Charlie, did you guys read that one?
Not at all. No.
Not your cup of tea. It was,
No.
I wouldn't bother. Edge of Spider-Verse, that was interesting. So this is the kind of the monthly Spider-Verse spin-off, which each issue gives you 2 or 3 separate tales of variants of Spider-Man.
That on the front cover.
So that is Dream Spider, who is a variant who basically, do you remember the old New Mutant series, the Demon Bear saga?
Says it on the cover, Phil.
I mean, there is.
So it does. It does. Yes, sorry. I'm old.
There is a.
And the comic's called Edge of Spider-Verse, Phil.
Phil, I thought it was Venom or something.
Yeah. So basically she goes into people's dreams and it's cack. The interesting thing in this one is it also features a storyline about a character who's a version of Spider-Man called Headline. Can you guess who that is? If
J. Jonah Jameson.
Absolutely. Yeah. J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah, you don't have to read the DC books next time. Yeah, Andy has to read double because he didn't get it. So it's a version of J. Jonah Jameson who's getting bitten by the spider instead of Spider-Man. Now, what do you think? He's got, your traditional kind of Spider-Man underarm kind of web things and a bit of a cape. Can you guess what they're made out of?
Newspaper
cuttings.
Newspapers.
Original.
Newspapers. Daily Bugle newspapers make his costume. I don't understand it.
So is the Dream Spider, is she the crossover into DC's Nightmare thing? Because this all just seems like am I going to wake up soon? Please tell me I'm going to wake up soon.
Yeah, it's just awful. Daredevil 13 kind of ending the arc. Have you read this one, Charlie?
Yeah, I've read all issues, and I've got.
Right, tell me a little bit about this one. Tell me what.
Chip Zdarsky, Marco Chiteko. This is this story is awesome. For me, it's the best Daredevil run. For me, it's the best Daredevil suit, and for me, it's the best Daredevil arc that I've read. Chip Zdarsky's writing this, and he's done really well. And obviously, it's is it the Red Hand saga? It's coming to an end. Yeah. It's great. I'm really liking the fact that he's teamed up with Elektra again, and then they're falling out, and then they're kind of. It's a really enjoyable story, and I'm really liking the artwork. It's one of the only Marvel books that I've still got on my pull list, and I still look forward to reading when it comes out, and that's rare. There's hardly anything from Marvel.
But to see on that, the reason why I always think that works it's because you got Zdarsky and Chichetto have been the mainstays. Like the art has changed, but they do it like every other arc. Someone else steps in while he catches up. But the idea of like all their titles in Marvel and DC do it as well. If they switch about too often or too much, you lose interest as a reader. So these two, and I'm behind on Daredevil, but I agree it's one of the best books in the last 3 or 4 years, in my opinion. Has been Daredevil, and I'm sad to see it's coming in. I think there's one more issue, and that's it. That's
one more issue, and that's it. Yeah. I've loved. I came onto this a bit late in the game. I came on basically because I was reading the Punisher miniseries, which kind of interlinks with this. In this issue, kind of lends into the whole fist in the hand and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this issue again. It's just a great read. I can't wait. This is a series I'll be picking up in hardback, in omnibus format, or whatever, so I can read and collect the entire story. It's great.
Joining the dark side of the omnibus collection.
Well, I used to collect omnibuses and then I sold them all. But yeah, I might have to get back into some of these. Andy, you a Daredevil fan, or not your cup of tea?
Loved the first 35 issues that Chip Zdarsky had done. Probably, I'd say my favourite modern Daredevil. Frank Miller run was obviously up against that, but I actually stopped after the what was it, 32, 35 issues, and I haven't read 1 to 13 of this, so whenever this comes out in hardback, I'll probably get it.
It's definitely I Fight for Love.
Worth it.
It's definitely worth a read. Like, it's great.
There's a bit in this, and sorry Andy for spoilers, that I just, you just grin because it's so cheesy and stupid.
Yeah.
But actually, it's mint, and that's when he gets his batons in the wrap up with things, and he puts them where his horns should be, and suddenly pulls what look like lightsabers out of his head, and starts. It's just friggin' amazing. I loved it.
Did you just make that up, Peter?
No, that's what he does. He puts
that was his nightmare. That was his night terror.
He puts on his horns and pulls the swords out of his head. It's absolutely brilliant. Fuzzy is asking if Headline has got a page 3. It has, mate. It's Doc Ock. It's right in his chest. Fully naked, nips and everything. Amazing.
Glad you said Doc.
Doc Ock, yeah. Deadman, Daredevil.
Missed that to see.
We've got Ben currently skiving from putting up frozen decorations for a minute till Cats will rewind. Hope you
just chill for a minute, mate. It'll be fun.
Thank you very much, Ben. I hope you have a good birthday party for your little one. I hope that's fun.
No, that's in his office. He's going for a new look.
Okay, moving on, guys. Look at that. I'm loving how defeated you all look. Phil looks just sick of his life. None of you reading it. No, Spider-Man.
I mean, I'm a Spider-Man fan, but I can't. I tried to get on this series at the start, and I was just like,
can't.
It was shit. And then until that Spider-Boy came in issue 7, well, all the hype came in. I still don't understand why they're still going 10 issues in. Why is it still here?
Yeah. So this for me is everything that's wrong with Spider-Man at the moment. This entire 4-issue arc has been shite. It's where Spider-Man's increased his spider sense, so now he has every issue. I don't know why he's got like a glider thing. Anyway, he's fighting Electro, who he's been fighting for the last 40 odd years or whatever. How do you think they defeat Electro?
Some water.
With some water, yeah. The fireman turned some water on him. Just cack. Spider-Boy, who up until now you've seen pull on his mask. Suddenly his mask turns into that thing at the bottom corner where the eyes shift and he's got vampire teeth. And he bites Electro and basically sedates him or something.
Shocking.
It's just
like, why do the baller?
Yeah. For
the folks watching, we do like comic books.
We do. Is this the end for comics? Is this the end?
It's reached the precipice, hasn't it? Next week we've got to have some
comics ended on the 7th of the 7th, 23.
Okay, Andy, bring us some positivity back with this book you may well read, Swan Songs by the guy who does Ice Cream Man, which I love. Yeah. So tell me about this one.
So I looked at this book, guys, as a bit of an investment, as you well know. So this was the last book that I read today, after reading the onslaught of DC books. W. Maxwell Prince is a fantastic writer.
Yeah.
And I would say, in my humble opinion, the best writer in containing stories, so anthology stories. So getting a really good start, a really good middle, and a fantastic ending, to the point where you get to the end and you want more. You want more of the story. A lot of that happened in Haha. So this Swan Songs is all about endings. Given the pun, it's a swan song. So in this particular issue, there was 2 endings that they were looking at. Number 1 was the ending of the world, as you can see here in the pages. And the second one was the ending of the life of the young boy's mother, which effectively was coinciding with each other. And I thought this was a beautiful story. I don't know if it was just after the DC onslaught that I was craving for something good. And I actually found the positivity in this story, despite, the horrific ending. It felt like me, like the overarching sort of, when I finished the book, I was like, so what did that mean? Like, there must have been some sort of message that it was giving it. And for me, it was the message of the young boy. The only thing that he was in control of, he wasn't in control of the world ending. He wasn't in control of his mother dying eventually because she's terminally ill. But what he was in control of was him getting that magazine.
Yeah.
And it's actually a mother and son story, this, for me. And it's the journey that he takes to get that magazine, to bring it back to her, to read it. And then just that sort of imagery on that last page where effectively that's like a flower blooming.
Exactly.
And you would imagine that obviously it's the end of the world, but was that the moment where she obviously passed away? And I just thought it was absolutely beautiful.
It's like it made the end of the world almost secondary to that gardening magazine. I agree with Andy. Like, I seen the kind of positivity, like the wholesomeness in that kind of story. But to be negative, I was expecting more. I don't know what I was expecting. I think because of the Haha and the ice cream man, and you're almost expecting something to hit the level of people talk about those books, and I didn't. I still enjoyed it for what it was. It just wasn't what I was expecting it to be. So, Andy, if you bought this for an investment, I think you've got your money back there. Maybe.
It was definitely £2.55's worth.
I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. And again, like the first thing, when we get to the end of that picture, I just thought like it was the life tree restarting again, like tying into the hydrangeas and everything that she was talking about. And I thought it was quite touching that she sits there and she listens to him telling the story, and she only ever says to him, "Do you remember the hydrangeas, or do you remember the flowers and stuff?" Do you know what I mean? That's the only telling point that she says. That's the connection is clearly there between he's reading the thing about the flowers and stuff like that, and he goes out of his way to get the last book so they can finish the chapter, and then the chapter finally ends effectively with the end of her life.
And did you notice, sorry Peter to jump in there, but I'm passionate about this book because it also dawned on me that the flowers that are mentioned, like the hydrangeas, do you remember the hydrangeas, do you remember the tulips? I think those flowers themselves, they represent death, and they also represent living as well, because those are the flowers that you get whenever you pass away, or whenever like there's a newborn baby or whatever and stuff like that. So I thought that was quite a cool sort of undertone as well to it. Sorry, Peter.
No, absolutely, mate. So I went into this not knowing anything about it. So I tend to not read the kind of the blurb beforehand and just go into it. It wasn't until the very end of the book, when I saw next issue, the end of, that I realized that's the theme of this series, that each issue is going to be a separate kind of end of something. I thought the artwork was spectacular. I really I love that painted style anyway. Do you know what I mean? That pulls me in. You're right. I thought the story was really quite touching. It's just not necessarily what I expected, I think, because I didn't go into it expecting anything. I don't know if I went in thinking Ice Cream Man, it's going to be horror in some way, Out of everything we've read this week, we've got a few more books to talk about, but out of everything we've read this week, this is probably the one that I enjoyed the most, and I will go back to and probably reread to pick up some of the finer details and things.
Yeah, this saved a really bad week. If this was poor, then that you would cancel tonight's live stream. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and burn the computer probably. Yeah.
Just cancel comics.
Yeah. So this is probably, out of everything we've read, this is probably the one that I'm thinking, ooh, I'm looking forward to next issue to see what the next story is. But I'm a massive fan of Ice Cream Man, haha, all those kind of, I love an anthology kind of book. I miss Silver Coin. I wish they'd bring Silver Coin back.
You can tell this is Maxwell print. You can tell this is
Yeah.
Maxwell for like even like with the faces, with the white faces, is very Ice Cream Man-esque, and he's just superb at what he does. Like he's great.
Yeah, and also the twists. So I absolutely wasn't expecting the twist with the young lad on the floor. Do you know what I mean? That came from nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, really enjoyed it. So yeah, a good book at last, I think. Well, actually, Junk Rabbit wasn't bad this week. I don't know if any of you guys are reading this. This is a weird story about a world where there are bubbles, a bit like mega cities from Judge Dredd, that are in a bubble, and everything outside is basically landfill. So it's just everybody's waste, and there are people that live in the waste. And it's the story of this vigilante in the waste called the Junk Rabbit, who defends them, basically. Story's progressing. It's quite interesting. It's quite graphic. I will pick up the next couple of issues just to conclude the story. But
I
it's
like that image logo though.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
That rabbit is how I felt after reading those DC books, I must admit.
What was that film about another rabbit? Was it Bunny Mask? Oh my god.
Oh, don't mention that one.
Oh my god, I just feel sick.
Which one was that? I don't remember that one.
Bunny Mask. By far, yeah, that would have fitted right in with DC Nightmares.
A movie or a comic?
No, comic, yeah. Check it out.
Oh yeah, I think I saw the first issue, and then
I think Andy did pick it. To be fair,
I did.
For that one, could you buy it? One of the issues was literally a cutout of the mask. You could
Cover B was the cut out of the mask, yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to buy it though.
No. So that's Junk Rabbit. It's worth a read. X-23. This has been torturous. The first issue was good, and then you just kind of feel you've got to read it. It just not for me. Didn't go anywhere. Clobbering Time. Now I love Clobbering Time. Now I know Phil said the
Phil's gave up.
Phil's either hitting the alcohol or he's
Pete, just don't say that sentence again.
I love a good Clobbering Time. Yeah,
we all do. We all do.
Yeah, this is just an old school fun story.
Yeah,
with some good banter in it. I think the artwork's okay, but I just love the back and forth between Doom and people. Like there's a scene where is it Doom or the Watcher characters kind of laying out everything that's wrong, and Ben Grimm basically says, "Yeah, do I look like the complaints department?" Basically, shut up, carry on. And it's that kind of interaction I quite enjoy reading. Did you read this one, Charlie?
I think I read the first 2 issues, and it was cool to see the Watchmen crossover and stuff like that. That was interesting. But yeah, it's an easy read. Like it's not going to win any awards. It's nothing. You're not going to I'm going to read every issue. I'll read it if it's out. I'd rather read this over Nightmares any day of the week.
Absolutely. Just a fun jaunt. Andy, not one for you. This, I'll take it.
I am partial to a Clobbering Time, but I didn't read this.
I have heard that. Phil, I know you love a good Clobbering Time, Phil. Is this up your street?
To be fair, I read a comic about 2 years ago that was a Noir 5-issue mini with The Thing or Ben Grimm, and I think it's Ben Grimm Noir or something it was called, or something along those lines. I like him as a character, but I haven't read this. And like I say, I have it to read, and I was flicking through the art, and I don't like the look of it. It just looks like, I don't know. Really, his face is really long. I get he's like a stone or a rock monster, but like he's like his face is all lopsided and whatever else. And it's like, can you just draw a perfectly straight face? You know?
I mean, I think in terms of the artwork, this is like, you know, some of the finest art around compared to the shit we've been looking at earlier in the night. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's an interesting story. It's worth picking up and having a look at. And it's only 5 issues, I think, in total. But you're right. It's a very cartoony style of art, I would say. Do you know what I mean?
Now, even on Marvel, even on Dead Regenesis, look at his face.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's shocking. Like, comics have really taken a turn for the worst. Let's be honest.
Can you believe that we built our channels up
On comics,
like,
I
the
know.
positivity
On
of comics, and we've
Jeez.
literally
Good comics,
just
though. Good comics.
thrown all that out the window tonight. Just going, oh, comics, okay.
Yeah, honestly, moving over to toys, it's the way forward. Blood Tree, this is the last issue in this mini series. This has been again a really cool series. Again, a one written for, I think, for a TV show or a movie. It's basically a crime drama. I don't know if you guys have read this one. About basically a guy who, if your parents or anybody in your family have committed any kind of murder or crime, he wants to cleanse the bloodline by killing anybody that's born after that. So he would go after your children and things like that. And it's a detective story. Now, the frustrating thing with this is we've been talking about art. Cover art in this is spectacular. The internal art is absolutely atrocious. I mean, it looks dreadful. But the story is strong, so you kind of give it a pass, which is interesting.
Do you not think a lot of comics nowadays are catfishing?
Yeah.
Like, because there's, hear me out, Andy, right? Because they're showing an amazing cover, and you think, oh, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to have a look at that. And then when you buy it and look at it, you're like, oh, I've literally been conned.
Yeah.
I've been conned.
I think you're right. I think we've got an industry now, which we maybe didn't have back in the 20 years ago, which is very much focused on cover artists and how nice the covers are.
Yeah.
And I think Blood Tree is a great example of that. If you go back and look, I mean, I would challenge you for the next show, guys, to go back and just have a look at a couple of these issues. The covers look amazing. Then you open the book and think, what the hell has gone wrong here? It's night and day. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, unlike the first books we reviewed earlier on, it gets a pass because the story's engaging and it actually pulls you into it. So you almost allow the artwork to pass. Nice to see you, Austin. Thank you very much for joining, bud. I hope you're well. Dead Man, yeah, I'll not spoil it, mate. All I say is it's a good end. I enjoyed it, but I'd love to see this in a kind of a TV show format. X Titles, I've talked to you before about the X Titles being a struggle. This was all right. This is the Sinister 4 one-off issue. What's the matter with you, Andy? What are you
Just the comment that's come up there from a certain person.
The big blue dick with Cheerio fingers.
Oh, please tell me you have a YouTube channel. I am subscribed.
You have to, don't you? You really do. You have a name like that.
Filth, absolute filth. So this was all about the many versions of Mr. Sinister, Nathaniel Essex. Very confusing. If you don't read X Titles these days, I wouldn't recommend jumping into them because they're so bloody hard to read. Thor annual, I'm a big Thor fan. This is weird. This is Mythos is basically another version of MODOK, who's got bits of the Rainbow Bridge. That story is just a filler. It's cack. The end of the issue ends basically with Thor, because he's going into a new issue 1, obviously, written by Al Ewing. So basically, they wipe out everything that's happened in the last few issues, a year's worth of Thor. He gets a new costume because he fancies it. His hammer, which was split and had all the lines and it was broken, which he's had for 2 years or whatever. He just kind of changes his mind. He says, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm sick of this. So he holds it around, swings it a little bit, and then it fixes itself, which is nice. You kind of ask why he didn't do that 2 years ago, but never mind.
Swings it a boot a bit.
Swings it a boot. He lobs it out and swings it a boot a bit.
It's just a shame because the Donny Cates run started off so well. I'm like the Black Winter.
Yeah.
And had all this hype and all these issues were selling for big money on eBay or whatever else. And then you had his personal problems, that's fine. But like the quality of the book just plummeted massively. Yeah. It is a shame.
I'm hoping the Immortal Hulk run kind of pulls it back a little bit because he's my favourite character. And you're right, Phil. I've not read regularly for a while now because it's just unreadable. And again, an issue that suffers from the art, sadly. Connie's just saying there that there's very few comics where the cover art standard matches the internal art. And I completely agree, Connie.
It's like the saying, don't judge a book by its cover is meant to mean the opposite. Like if you think of a cover and it's stinking, don't think the whole book is. But now it's like rules reversed,
Yeah, it is.
So guys, this has been depressing as fuck. I've
had an absolute blast.
I actually read another comic that might cheer things up.
Which one?
It won't because it was absolutely terrible. It was Captain Marvel, The Tempest. And
I wouldn't even start to read that one.
It was horrible.
The cover's great. The cover's great by Rose Besh. I love that cover.
Yeah. The art they furred through the internal art was actually pretty good, but I've read it, so you guys don't have to. Just I can't even describe it.
Look at that.
It's like
Take one for
some
the
sort of
team.
Nitro
Not-
Man coming.
Not all
and-
heroes wear capes.
Exactly. Yeah, don't need it. I also read Barnstormers by Scott Stein. I think it was a Comicology exclusive.
Yes.
But it came
Tell
out
me you
for
enjoyed
the
that.
week. Yeah. It
Tell me
was
you enjoyed it.
a bit quiet, but it was good.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I've not read that one. I think it's fair to say it's been a challenging week in terms of comic books this week, guys. So let's end on a bit of positivity. Tell us one of your monthly picks, or one of the books that you're really looking forward to that is a good read that we can recommend to people to go out and read. I'm going to start off, and I'm going to pinch Andy's with something epic. I think that's a phenomenal series. Yeah. So I would really recommend people pick that up. It's on to issue 3 now, I think. 3 or
Yep.
4. The
Yep,
story's engaging. The artwork is just breathtaking. So much so that I think I might have mentioned to you before, I promised I wasn't going to get myself into the whole, what you call it, kind of limited covers and all that jazz again after the Stray Dogs debacle, where I ended up with about 40 issues. But I have with this book, I've picked up I think 6 or 7 different variant covers because it's just so good. Great read. We'll go to Andy next. Andy, what are you reading that you would recommend to people?
I've been banging on about this book for quite a while. It's only in Comixology at the minute. It's Scott Snyder and Jock on artwork, and it's Book of Evil. I think it's up to like the 4th issue at the moment, and it's due to be released by Dark Horse Comics in paper format. So I would highly recommend you go on that. I think it's going to be one of those ones when it does come out in single issue format that a lot of people are going to jump on it. But I would highly recommend you give it a read. It's worth that £2.55. Or if you've got Amazon Prime, you get it for free.
It's free. Yeah.
So I might have to. So you recommended that to us a couple of weeks back, I think, Andy, and I was probably trying to skim read, or I was too busy. I hadn't really appreciated that it's more of a novel than a comic.
A lot of prose, a lot of reading. It's one of those ones where I would probably set aside an evening to enjoy it, as opposed to try to read loads of other comics, because it just doesn't work.
Just sorry to put you on the spot. Just give us a very brief run at what it's actually about. Because I started reading the first 2 pages and I got lost. Motherfucker, honestly.
You're not getting your money now. Okay.
Moving on.
Charlie.
So I'm really enjoying Night Terrors. I think it's an amazing. No, I've been banging on about this comic, right, for ages, right? It's called Lovesick, and it's from Image.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And it's quite disturbing because we reviewed World Tree issue number 3 on the show last night, and it touches on like the dark internet and everything. Like the dark internet now is becoming more people are accessing it, and there's like these red rooms and stuff like that. Lovesick is what Image have put out. It's wicked. It's really, really good. So check that out. It's coming out in trade paperback. It's already finished the 6 issues, but also The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
From Daniel Warren Johnson. We reviewed that a few weeks ago. And if you read The Immortal Hulk, you'll kind of understand it. And then it kind of touches on Ram V's, Donny Cates' version and stuff like that. And it's a really good story. I think the Hulk's coming back to his horror genre and his horror background and stuff. And it's really good. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to. But Lovesick, just go and get it. Yeah.
Loved the Hulk. Check out Lovesick. You mentioned Red Room there. Did any of you guys read the Red Room comic books that were out a little while ago?
I think we read one. I think Andy picked one for the his indie picks, and I think I kind of touched on it, but I didn't really get into it.
It's a bit rough.
I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was trash, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a bit.
They're
a bit rush, a bit like really kind of fringe horror, like Hostel and things like that. It's a bit sick. Yeah. Phil, anything you want to recommend?
I was going through my pull list, and I'm really struggling. I mean, we've mentioned Daredevil. That probably is the strongest book in my overall pull list is Daredevil, but it's obviously due to end in next month. To be fair, like Venom. So Venom has picked up recently.
Which one?
Is it really?
Yeah. So whenever Al Ewing and Ram V were doing co-writing, so they had like Ram V was doing the what's his name? I'm terrible. Dylan Brock
Who-
stuff.
Yeah.
Al Ewing was doing the Brock stuff up
Venom,
in space,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, and it was a wee bit. Where are you going with this? And then a few issues kind of went through where it's like, this is just, I'm going to drop this. I just didn't enjoy it one bit. I wasn't getting it. But since Al Ewing's now taking the reins full time, it's starting to pick up. It's not the same level as Donny Gates, don't get me wrong, but it's starting to pick up to the point where I'm hoping it can push on and do something
So
else.
which book's that then, Phil? Because I've read the Dylan Brock one and I wasn't keen, but then I've read the Eddie Brock Venom book and that's really good.
It's just the main Venom title. It has both of them still, but
Because I think Ram V went over to Distillery, didn't he? So then when that cut, he kind of went over, and then Al Ewing took over from Venom. But I'm the same as you, Phil. Like I literally switched off and was like, "This is rubbish."
Yeah, but I think there's an event coming on. Is it like the Summer of Symbiote? Or no, there's another event coming up towards the autumn time. So I'm going to give it until that. And if it picks up again, then I'll maintain it and whatever. But just to touch on what Andy said as well, see all that Scott Snyder stuff on Comixology, you get through Prime. There's a Canary, there's Clear, there's the Book of Evil, there's
I need to get back on Clear.
They're all really good. So
Canary's great. Canary's
I
awesome.
read the first issue of Clear, I think, with you guys in the Killer Comic Show, but I've not managed to grab the. I'll have to read the rest of them because I really enjoyed that.
And that Barnstormers is on Prime as well. So
check that out. Okay, chaps, thank you very much. That's the end of the show for this week. Just to mention, we've obviously got the Saturday show, as I mentioned earlier on. That's your whack. Chaps, before we go, do you want to tell people a little bit about what you've got coming up on your channel? So start with you, Phil.
Yeah, so the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, we have Farmhand Volume 1 this coming Wednesday. And on my actual personal channel, nothing. As per usual.
I'm going to have to give that Farmhand because I love Chew. It's one of my favourite books.
It's the same kind of level of wackiness. I mean, I'll tell you what it is. They grow body parts. So, there you go.
Nice. I'll have a look at that. Andy, what have you guys got coming up, or what have you got coming up on your channel?
Myself, Charlie, and Tom do the Killer Comic Show every Thursday at 9 o'clock. And this Thursday coming, we will be doing a showcase on Gabriel Dell'Otto. We'll be doing a normal killer covers, where Charlie will inevitably pick a really poor cover.
No need for that.
That felt unkind, Charlie. I have to be honest. That was under the table.
Unkind, but very true. We'll have our indie picks. We'll have our FOC. We'll be picking some of the best books that you can go pick up at Slab Crusaders.
Good stuff.
And then we also have the week after, we've got Dan Panacea coming on.
Oh, wow. Superb.
So he'll be on the 19th of July, and it'll be like Alice Never After showcase and stuff like that. So that's going to be interesting.
Did he see the artist on Canary as well?
Yeah.
Yes. And Black Tape as well, which the trade paperback came out. It comes out in a couple of weeks.
That was
it's wicked. It's really good.
Yeah, I like that. Excellent. Charlie, have you got anything else you want to add about the Killer Comic Show or anything coming up on your channel?
No, Andy's already pissed me off this one.
Not for the first time, not for the last.
Okay, guys. Listen, despite it being a horrific week for comics, this has been great fun. I've absolutely loved having you guys on the channel. It's always nice to spend time with like-minded nerds and geeks. So thank you very much. It's been great fun. And with that, chaps, we'll call it a night. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Really do appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.